The legendary sniper known by the codename White Feather never had a normal mission in Vietnam. Carlos Hathcock made impossible shots from 2,500 meters, eliminated enemy generals with single bullets, and defeated elite North Vietnamese snipers at their own game. But his most incredible story was killing an enemy sniper with a bullet that went through the sniper's scope. So how did this shot, which is impossible according to the laws of physics, happen? And how did the white feather he wore in his hair make him both a legend and a target? Carlos Hathcock's story isn't just about marksmanship. It's about the birth of a legend. This man, who transformed from a poor farm boy in Arkansas to Vietnam's most feared ghost, is one of the most extraordinary characters in military history. North Vietnamese soldiers who heard his name trembled in the darkness of night, because White Feather was everywhere, but nowhere. Here are the incredible moments you'll see in this story. Carlos's record of 93 confirmed kills. But what's truly surprising is this: he never thought he killed anyone. "I don't kill people, I end wars," he used to say. He saw every target as a way to save the lives of thousands of American soldiers. His most famous mission was the operation to hunt down a female sniper, codenamed Apache. This woman tortured captured American soldiers to death, then used their bodies to set traps. Carlos took 3 days to find her and finished her with a single shot. But this woman's identity and what she did to Carlos is one of the darkest chapters of the story. The Cobra duel is the most epic battle in sniper history. North Vietnam's most elite sniper was sent specifically to kill Carlos. This death game between two master snipers lasted 3 days and 3 nights. Who would be more patient? Who would hide better? Who would make the first mistake? But Carlos's most impossible shot was undoubtedly the bullet that went through an enemy sniper's scope. This is physically almost impossible because the scope's lens is a very small target, and the bullet must come at the exact angle. But Carlos accomplished this, and the enemy sniper's bullet returned through his own rifle barrel. Carlos's tactics weren't just marksmanship. He was also a psychological warfare expert. He would secretly infiltrate enemy camps, mark their generals one by one, and sometimes instead of killing them, he would just shoot targets near them to spread fear. "A general's fear is more effective than his death," he would say. The White Feather story is both a symbol of courage and defiance. Carlos wore a white feather under his hair on every mission. This was both for good luck and to send a message to the enemy: "I'm here, find me if you can." The North Vietnamese army put a $30,000 bounty on his head, an astronomical figure for that time. Towards the end of the Vietnam War, the incident that happened to Carlos was the tragic moment that ended his military career. A mine explosion would burn him and cause his early return from war, but even in those final days, he couldn't be stopped. In this story, you'll also see how Carlos transformed from an ordinary farm boy into the world's most effective warrior. How he survived in Vietnam's harsh conditions, and most importantly, how he tried to adapt to normal life after the war. Carlos Hathcock's story isn't just military success. It's also the story of honor, discipline, and a man ready to sacrifice everything for his country. The White Feather legend was born this way. And even today, snipers worldwide take him as an example. Are you ready? Then, let's begin the incredible story of Vietnam's most famous ghost. Carlos Norman Hathcock II was born on May 20th, 1942, in Little Rock, Arkansas. His father, Carlos Hathcock Sr., was a railroad worker, and his mother, Jo, was a housewife. The family was in difficult economic circumstances, and Carlos's childhood was spent with the harsh realities of rural Arkansas. There was no money, no luxury, but there was an environment where he would learn to cope with all kinds of challenges from nature. When Carlos was only 7 years old, his father abandoned the family. Joe Hathcock had to raise her son alone. Losing his father at such an early age both strengthened and wounded Carlos. He was now the man of the family and had to take responsibility. He worked alongside his mother, trying to bring money home. When he turned 12, Carlos was introduced to an old .22 caliber rifle, inherited from his grandfather. This rifle would change his life. The first day he fired it, he hit the target dead center. His grandmother Elizabeth noticed this natural talent in her grandson and supported him. Every day after school, he would go to the forests and practice target shooting for hours. Tin cans, bottles, even insects could be his targets. Every time Carlos touched a weapon, the gun felt like an extension of his body. This required not just talent but also endless patience and discipline. The years he spent in Arkansas forests taught Carlos how to camouflage, move silently, and understand nature's rhythm. He could wait hours to shoot a squirrel, calculate wind direction, and even predict when the target would move. These skills would enable him to survive in Vietnam's jungles. During high school, Carlos's marksmanship ability had spread throughout the school. He participated in competitions on the school team and constantly came first. But for him, this wasn't just sports. Every shot was a step on the path to perfection. The moment a bullet is fired, it has already hit the target. It's just a matter of time, he used to say. In 1959, at age 17, Carlos joined the United States Marine Corps. The Vietnam War hadn't started yet, but military training was very tough during the Cold War period. Boot camp at Paris Island was challenging but also liberating for Carlos, because here he learned the concepts of discipline, honor, and patriotism. He did his first military service at Camp Pendleton. Here he officially received sniper training and took his abilities to a professional level. He was introduced to military weapons, the M14 rifle, then the legendary Winchester Model 70.30-096 caliber. This weapon would become his closest friend in Vietnam. His first deployment to Vietnam came in 1965. He was stationed in the Da Nang area, near Hill 55. The first moments he saw shocked Carlos. Tropical heat, intense humidity, insects, snakes, and the threat of death that could come from anywhere at any time. Arkansas forests were child's play compared to this. His first mission in Vietnam was observation duty. He would watch and report enemy movements with other soldiers. But this wasn't enough for Carlos. He wanted to make an impact. During the first weeks, he studied the environment, learned enemy routes, and identified the best sniper positions. His first confirmed kill came 3 weeks later. From 700 meters away, he shot a Viet Cong militant carrying weapons on a bicycle with a single bullet. He never forgot that moment. The moment I pulled the trigger, I knew I had hit the target. While the bullet was speeding toward the target, I was already looking for the next one. This first success caught the attention of Carlos's superiors. His commander, Captain Edward Land, noticed his special abilities and began giving him more independent missions. Carlos could now go on solo operations. This freedom was the first step on his path to becoming a legend. The white feather story also began during this period. Carlos would attach a white bird feather under his hair before every mission. This was initially just a good luck charm, but over time it became his signature. Enemies began identifying him as White Feather. This was both an identity and a challenge. His first major operation took place in Elephant Valley. The North Vietnamese Army had established a large weapons depot here, and American forces wanted to find and destroy this depot. Carlos's mission was to locate the depot and, if possible, neutralize its guards. For 3 days, he hid in the thick forests of Elephant Valley. The only thing he ate was rations. The only thing he drank was rainwater he collected. There were moments when enemy patrols passed right by him, but Carlos was so well camouflaged that he was never detected. On the fourth day, he found the depot. 15-20 Viet Cong soldiers were guarding the depot. Carlos waited patiently, learning the guards' routines. When he caught the most opportune moment, he shot the commander from 800 meters away. While other soldiers panicked, Carlos silently neutralized the second and third targets as well. After this operation, Carlos's fame spread throughout the region. Now the enemy was talking about Carlos, trying to hunt him. North Vietnamese command put an $8,000 bounty on his head. This figure, compared to the $2 bounty placed on other American soldiers, showed how effective Carlos was. His most challenging mission was the operation to hunt down a female sniper codenamed Apache. This woman was both a sniper and a torturer. She would kill captured American soldiers in horrific ways, then use their corpses as traps. Even talking about her among American units created fear. Carlos got special permission to find Apache. This had become a personal mission, because Apache had also killed one of Carlos's friends. For 2 weeks, he tracked her. Apache was smart, hiding skillfully and constantly changing locations. Finally, Carlos cornered her near Duc Pho. Apache was hiding in a cave and controlling the exit. Carlos waited without moving for 6 hours. When Apache finally came out, Carlos stopped her with a single shot from 300 meters away. After this operation, Carlos's psychological state began to change. Seeing the torture Apache had inflicted, Carlos fully understood how ruthless war could be. "What this woman did entered my dreams," he would say years later. "But I had to stop her." In 1967, Carlos faced his biggest rival, Cobra, an elite sniper from North Vietnam, codenamed. This man was sent specifically to kill Carlos. Cobra also had more than 50 confirmed kills, and, like Carlos, had a legendary reputation. The duel between two master snipers lasted 3 days. Cobra had infiltrated Carlos's area and was hunting him. Carlos could sense Cobra's presence but couldn't find where he was. While both men tried to see each other, the smallest mistake meant death. On the second day, Carlos located where Cobra had taken position. He was hidden among bushes 400 meters away. But instead of attacking directly, Carlos waited patiently. When the sun rose, he saw light reflecting from Cobra's scope. At that moment, Carlos pulled the trigger, and the bullet went through Cobra's scope, killing him. This shot became one of the most incredible moments in sniper history, because the scope was a very small target, and the bullet had to come at the exact angle. Carlos later explained, "The moment Cobra pulled his trigger, I pulled mine too, but my bullet reached the target 1 second before his." Carlos's longest distance shot came at 2,500 meters. This record was nearly impossible for that time. The target was a high-ranking North Vietnamese commander. Carlos used a specially modified Browning M2 heavy machine gun and hit the target with a single shot. Carlos prepared for 3 days for this shot. He calculated wind speed, humidity, temperature, and even Earth's rotation. The bullet stayed in the air for 7 seconds. "The moment I fired that bullet, I knew it would hit the target, because I had calculated every detail," Carlos said. By 1968, Carlos's confirmed kill count had exceeded 80. He was now recognized throughout Vietnam. Both American and enemy units saw him as a legend. The North Vietnamese army increased the bounty on his head to $30,000. But Carlos's Vietnam adventure would end tragically. In 1969, while returning to his vehicle, a hidden mine exploded on the road the vehicle was traveling. Carlos suffered severe burns, with 40% of his body burned. This incident ended his active combat career. During the months he spent in the hospital, Carlos constantly thought about Vietnam. While his friends were fighting there, he was lying in bed. This situation greatly upset him. "I was there to help them, but now I can't even help myself," he said. After recovering, Carlos continued his service as an instructor. At the Marine Training Center in Quantico, he trained young snipers. He taught them not just how to shoot, but how to survive, think, and be honorable. A sniper's most important weapon isn't the trigger, it's the brain, he would tell his students. Without patience, discipline, and honor, no shot is successful. The soldiers Carlos trained would later serve in Iraq and Afghanistan and implement the lessons they learned. Carlos retired in 1979. During his 20-year military career, he received countless medals and honors. But for him, the most important reward was the lives of the American soldiers he saved. "I shot 93 enemy soldiers, but in return, I saved the lives of thousands of American soldiers," he said. Retirement years weren't easy for Carlos. What he experienced in Vietnam continued to trouble him. He struggled with PTSD and was still in Vietnam forests in his dreams at night. But he never regretted it. "I did my duty for my country and I did it honorably," he said. In the 1980s and 1990s, Carlos frequently gave lectures, wrote books, and helped develop the sport of marksmanship. His techniques and philosophy formed the foundation of modern sniper training. This is how Carlos Hathcock's white feather legend was born. In Vietnam's harsh conditions, in the depths of enemy territory, in moments when death could come at any time, it was proof of how an American soldier could become legendary. His story wasn't just a war story. It was also a story of courage, honor, and patriotism. On February 22, 1999, Carlos Norman Hathcock II passed away. Thousands of people attended his funeral, former comrades, students, family, and people who never knew him but were inspired by his story. His gravestone read, "Whoever stands against us will not pass. You have my word on that." The white feather legend lived on even after Carlos's death. Modern snipers studied his techniques, military academies taught his strategies, and his story continued to inspire new generations of warriors. The white feather he wore had become a symbol not just of marksmanship, but of honor, courage, and unwavering dedication to duty. Carlos's influence extended beyond the military. His emphasis on precision, patience, and mental discipline found applications in sports shooting, hunting, and even business and personal development. The principles he lived by, meticulous preparation, calm under pressure, and moral clarity, became templates for excellence in many fields. His famous rifle, the Winchester Model 70, was eventually displayed in the National Museum of the Marine Corps, where visitors could see the weapon that had made history. But more than any artifact, it was Carlos's philosophy that endured. The most important thing is not the shot you take, but the shots you choose not to take. In his final years, Carlos often reflected on his time in Vietnam. He never glorified war or violence, always emphasizing that his role was to protect American lives, not to take enemy ones. This perspective, rare among warriors of his caliber, added a profound moral dimension to his legacy. The Carlos Hathcock legend became required study for military snipers worldwide. His techniques were analyzed, his decision-making processes studied, and his mental approach adopted by elite marksmen across different armies. The Hathcock method became synonymous with precision, professionalism, and ethical conduct in warfare. Even decades after Vietnam, soldiers would pin white feathers to their gear in honor of Carlos, carrying on a tradition that represented the highest standards of military excellence. The feather had transcended its original meaning to become a universal symbol of dedication, skill, and honor in the warrior community. Carlos Hathcock's white feather legend gives all of us a powerful message. True heroism comes not just from talent, but from character, discipline, and willingness to sacrifice everything for one's country. This journey, from a poor farm boy in Arkansas to Vietnam's most feared sniper, is proof that ordinary people can achieve extraordinary things. The first lesson we can draw from Carlos's story: Excellence is not an inborn talent, but the result of endless work and discipline. Carlos's record of 93 confirmed kills wasn't the result of lucky shots that came in a day. It was the result of thousands of hours spent in Arkansas forests, daily training sessions, and his never-ending pursuit of perfection. The moment a bullet is fired, it has already hit the target. It's just a matter of time, summarizes his disciplined approach. The second important lesson: real power is not physical superiority, but mental strength. Carlos's greatest weapon wasn't his rifle, but his patience and analytical thinking ability. His duel with Cobra was a test not just of marksmanship, but also of psychological endurance. Who would be more patient? Who would make fewer mistakes? Who would remain calmer under pressure? Carlos won because he was mentally stronger. The third valuable lesson: honor and character are more important than success. Carlos never thought he killed anyone. He ended wars. He saw every target as a way to save more American soldiers' lives. This perspective made him not just an effective warrior, but also an honorable soldier. The fourth powerful principle: great achievements bring great responsibilities. The $30,000 bounty placed on Carlos's head was proof of how effective he was, but it also meant becoming a big target. His continued wearing of the white feather showed that he accepted this responsibility and wasn't afraid to challenge. The fifth important message: true leadership comes through setting an example. Carlos's work as an instructor after Vietnam wasn't coincidental. He gave not just technical knowledge, but life lessons. A sniper's most important weapon isn't the trigger, it's the brain. The hundreds of soldiers he trained spread his values worldwide. So how can you apply these lessons in your own life? First, whatever field you're in, work continuously for excellence. Talent is the starting point. What really matters is daily discipline and determination never to give up. Second, develop your mental strength. Strengthen your abilities to stay calm under pressure, make correct analyses, and be patient. Third, prioritize honor and character principles in all your work. Success is temporary, but character is permanent. Fourth, set big goals and be ready for the responsibilities they bring. Fifth, transfer your success to others. True success isn't just reaching your own goal, but helping others reach theirs too. Carlos Hathcock's white feather legend shows us that true heroism lies not in the battlefield, but in character. That white feather wasn't just a bird feather. It was a symbol of courage, honor, and unwavering determination. You too can wear your white feather in your own field and never stop on the path to excellence. Remember, true marksmen don't miss the target because they don't pull the trigger until they're sure they'll hit it.